So I get a lot of questions about long gun rounds, 5.56 and 2.23, and what the difference between the two is, and maybe some differences in types of rifle rounds. So I just wanted to do a really quick video on 5.56 and 2.23 and what the difference is, but also a couple of differences in different types of rounds. There's a ton of different rounds. I only have a few here, but you'll get the idea, right? So on this side of the table, I've got a couple of different examples of 5.56 ammunition, and on this side of the table, I've got a couple different types of 2.23 ammunition. The two, and I think there are more differences than this, but I think the two major differences between 5.56 ammunition and 2.23 is 5.56 ammunition is a slightly different specification. So 5.56 ammunition is going to be slightly larger from the breech face, so the back of the round, all the way up until the point where that stops the forward motion of the round in the chamber. And I know that's a lot to absorb, but essentially it's kind of the case length to it's the back of the case to the neck. It's a little bit different than a 2.23 round, which is just slightly shorter. And the other major difference usually is you've got a little bit more propellant in a 5.56 round. It's a little hotter, runs a little hotter than a 2.23 round. You can put 2.23 rounds into a 5.56 chamber with no issues. Not a great idea to consistently fire 5.56 rounds out of a 2.23 chamber. So just something to consider. You can damage the chamber in a 2.23 weapon. So all of my ARs are 5.56 for the fact that, I mean, I just prefer the 5.56 round, but also because I can use a 2.23 round in it without any issues, right? So something to keep in mind. So on here, on this side, this is military grade ball ammunition. Ball just means just another word for full metal jacket. It's 5.56. So the military uses this. They have to use full metal jacket. And if you've watched previous videos of mine, I don't recommend full metal jacket for anything other than target shooting. But the Geneva Convention requires the US military by NATO, and the NATO 5.56, to use full metal jacket rounds. It's a whole thing. It's a little ridiculous, but they're required to do so by Geneva Convention. So you can see, it's a little tougher to tell on this round. I'm going to do another video here in a minute with 9mm rounds. But the tip of this round, you can see that it's basically copper all the way around. It's covered completely, so full metal jacket, right? This one is a 5.56. I believe it's a boat tail hollow point round. Boat tail hollow point round, and you can see a tiny little hole right there, which makes it a hollow point, with the intention of it expanding once it hits a target, right? So it's got arguably better terminal ballistics if you're firing at something that's going to open this round up and cause more damage. That's the point. The boat tail is kind of just talks about the bullet itself. It's got a kind of a slightly reduced diameter towards the end inside the casing there. And I think that's just for aerodynamics. And then for this one, this one is designed for, it says muzzle velocity on the package of 2920, that's feet per second. And the interesting thing is, you can buy ammunition and it'll tell you what the muzzle velocity is, but it'll also tell you, it should tell you, like, that's based on a certain length of barrel. That's going to change your muzzle velocity. Like, certain factors of your weapon are going to change the muzzle velocity one way or the other, depending on whether it's a short or long barrel. Long barrels tend to have a higher muzzle velocity. But anyway, it's just a general idea. So over here, we've got 2.23 rounds. So this one is it's a varmint round, and it's designed specifically for a flat trajectory and a high muzzle velocity. So this one, the muzzle velocity is 3240. So you've got about 300 more feet per second out of this one. And one of the things that allows that to happen is you've got this little plastic tip here, which again, it's kind of a hollow point round on the inside of that plastic tip, but that plastic tip is designed for aerodynamics to make it go faster. So that's what gives this round a little bit higher muzzle velocity. You might have a little bit more propellant in there too, I don't know, but that's a 2.23 round. So this is an interesting round here. So, and I honestly, in full disclosure, just realized that our duty round I'm a federal law enforcement officer, our duty round is actually not 5.56, even though we carry 5.56 weapons. It's a 2.23 round. I'll have to do some research on why that is and why that decision was made. But anyway, this is a 2.23 round. It's a hollow point round. You can see right there, you've got a little bit of lead spilling out the top of the bullet. And I've got two of them here because, those are the rounds and those are the basic differences, right? But I've got two of them here because I wanted to talk a little bit about when you chamber a round and what happens. So this round is brand new. And the reason I know that is it's never been chambered because there's no light firing pin strike on the primer. This one has a firing pin strike on the end of the primer. Not as important with pistol rounds, but with rifle rounds, you've got a heavier bolt, you've got a heavier bolt carrier, and that's slamming this thing into the chamber, and it can dislodge the casing a little bit. After you chamber the same round multiple times, the reliability of that round starts to deteriorate. So the reason this one has a light strike is because I've chambered this for an operation before, obviously didn't use it, and I will discard this round because I want absolutely no question that when I press the trigger, that round's going off. So every time I chamber a round and I go out on operation, I come back, it's part of my post-op inspections, I'll take that round out of the chamber, I'll discard it, and I'll load a brand new round into the magazine so I don't have to worry about that the next time. So anyway, maybe sometime I'll do another video on kind of how to cycle your rounds. Really, it's more important for pistol rounds because they can withstand a little bit more than a rifle round. But for rifle rounds, if you want to be 100% safe, just don't chamber the same self-defense round over and over again, and you should be fine. All right, that's it. That's 223 versus 5.56.